Hello, everybody. Welcome to today's free warm-up session on Fundraising Everywhere. My name is Nikki Bell. I'm the co-founder of Fundraising Everywhere. I'm a fundraiser, also in lockdown. I'm a parent, so please expect a 4-year-old gate crasher at some point in this next hour or so. It will happen. We've just all kind of gotten used to that now, haven't they? And actually, he's become a pretty good fundraiser. He's listened in on so many webinars. So if this is your first visit to Fundraising Everywhere, welcome. You can see a little chat box underneath the video. So please just talk to each other, talk to me, because I'm just in a bedroom at home by myself. And yeah, you can ask questions. This is completely live. I'm going to be covering a session with you today, but obviously if there's any questions you have or there's anything else that you want me to cover, then please do let me know. I have like a mini setup here, which is, it's just so many screens open and so many things happening. So I will try and maintain eye contact with you as much as possible throughout this little webinar, but I will have to like look around at some bits. So please excuse me for that. So I'm just here to talk to you today about community fundraising. So anybody who knows me knows that I am, I am. Once you're a community fundraiser, you're always a community fundraiser. And yeah, when the lockdown happened, it was weird, wasn't it? What do we do? I've spent the last, 4 or 5 years telling people, go out there, have cups of tea with people, meet them face to face. And now that is just completely irresponsible to suggest to people what to do. So I've been just spending time talking to my fellow community fundraisers, talking to charities, and just really thinking about myself as well as a donor for my organizations and what I want from that relationship with them. And there are things that we can do. Now, we spent a lot of time through in that grief stage of feeling a little bit lost. What do we do next? All hope is gone. Maybe a few tears in the bathroom. I'm sure we've all been through that route. But there are opportunities to come out of this. And that's really what I want to spend some time on today, is help picking out what we can do. Obviously, there's a huge, massive situation out there that we can't control. But one of the ways to help us be resilient and get through these tough spots is to look at what we can control and spend on our time on nurturing that. And that's exactly the same as, community fundraising relationships. It's all about time, understanding, acceptance, and nurturing. So this session isn't a step-by-step guidance on what you absolutely 100% have to do. Everybody's situation is different. Some of your teams are a lot smaller than they were before, and perhaps this is a resource that can't be looked at immediately, but somewhere down the line. What I wanted it to be for you was just a little bit of hope, a little bit of Geordie in your lives at a time when perhaps we might need it most. And a special welcome as well to our Fundraising Everywhere members. So we have people who are members of Fundraising Everywhere, and they get free access to everything that we run, including this, which is free for everybody, but also our virtual conference that we have next week. So special welcome to you. Hello, Mandy, who said moved into the bedroom now, as my partner was annoyed I was taking over the rest of the flat. Yes, I'm taking over every room as I go. And please let me know, just use that little chat box now. Let's make sure it works and make sure that you're all on the right stream, because we had to refresh it. So do say hello in that chat box now, just so I know that I'm not here talking to myself. So let us begin. What are we going to cover? Yes, you all need a little Geordie in the eyes. What are we going to cover today? So a couple of bits and bobs. Going to be looking at some tried and tested methods of fundraising relationships. What are we familiar with already? What are we doing already? And how can we repurpose it for during a lockdown? What I'm not going to do today is give you lots of tips and tools that are going to mean that you're going to need, umpteen hours of woman power or budget. It's all about resourcing what we already have. And actually, that's what community fundraisers are amazing at, aren't they? Taking what we have access to already and just turning it into this brilliant, amazing thing. So we're going to be looking at that today. We're going to be looking at community fundraising and actually raising money during a lockdown and during a pandemic. And then I've got my crystal ball out, and I've just been having a little gaze on there and seeing what we can do in the future. So hello to everyone, Ria, Kathy, Zoe, Is that Susie, and Emma? So special hello. And is that Emma who has a new job this week at Give Penny? Congratulations, Emma, on your new role. I'm sure you'll be amazing at that, and they're a brilliant team. So I'm just going to start off on this particular session with this slide from an amazing fundraiser called Kealan Appleby. And I just wanted to put this here as a reminder as we go through this session, exactly what I've just said there. You have brilliant personal skills and resources that you have access to already that can make people feel noticed and appreciated right now. And actually, that's a huge potential in community fundraising. We've seen perhaps in some cases quite rash decisions of staffing in smaller organizations, which may actually be more negatively impactful later on in the future, because there's no teams right now that can make people have that hope and direction and connection with their causes. Completely understand how some decisions are made, so please don't take that as a dig, because I know they're really difficult decisions and you're just thinking about the future of your charity. But I do believe that the organizations that have prioritized engagement and relationship building through this time will see a positive outcome on the other side. And perhaps taking advantage of those furloughed fundraiser schemes where fundraisers from other organizations can volunteer for your cause. Have a little look into that, just to pull a bag a little bit, because conversations and connections are what really count right now. So we're going to kick off now looking at some tried and tested methods. There he is. We're only 7 minutes in and he's here. Hi Max, I'm busy. Hello my darling. Oh my darling, why are you crying? Oh sweetheart, I'll be with you in just a minute.
What I wish I'd known when I first started fundraising.
What I wish I'd known.
Something that we wish we knew when we first started out.
What we wish we'd known.
One thing I wished I'd learned when I raised my first dollar for nature in 1969.
Something I wish I had discovered much earlier in my career.
I wish that I'd known when I first started my fundraising career.
And I'm going to bend the rules a little bit around that.
And mine's this.
Surprise! It's me. How are you doing, everyone? So I am your entertainment for a couple of minutes. Nikki has just been is otherwise occupied, as you may have noticed. So apologies for that, but I'm sure you all understand these are difficult times where we are juggling all sorts of things, and sometimes they happen at the same time. And actually, this is a good reminder that this is why a lot of our conferences, a lot of the sessions are pre-recorded to ensure that things like that are manageable. But there you go. And Nikki is a pro. She works her little butt off, and I'm sure she's going to be back any second now to take you through the rest of the session.
He fell off his bike. Yeah, he fell off his bike. I had to go and
is he okay?
And see, some things are more important, aren't they? But yeah, thank you.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he's just grazed his elbow.
Right, okay. Well,
yeah,
nice to see
he's fine. It was like the only time that he didn't wear his elbow pads. So
he wears elbow pads.
Thank you for jumping in.
Yeah, right. Okay, I'm gonna go.
No, thank you. Thanks, bye. Oh, good grief! Thank you, everyone, for being so understanding. But when your band's crying, you're not gonna leave them, are you? So yeah, thank you, Emma. He's okay. He fell off his bike. and he was just having a little cry. So yeah, sorry about that. Thank you for being understanding. Okay. So tried and tested methods. What do we have access to already as fundraisers that we can reutilize during this time to help build connection? I'm knackered off running downstairs. To build connection with people and yeah, just make a positive difference through this time. So we're going to look first of all just at some stewardship techniques, which you're all hopefully familiar with, and how we can repurpose them. Oh my goodness. Okay. So the telephone. If you haven't picked up the phone already and had conversations with your donors, I massively, massively encourage you to, because they right now will have undoubtedly received many communications from people asking them for money, perhaps from charity organizations. And they've had umpteen amounts of communications from businesses telling them what their response to COVID is. The company who used to treat my garden grass about 5 years ago, the CEO from there, even got in touch with me to update me on what was going on. I was like, all right, cheers. But wouldn't it just be amazing to get a telephone call from the charity that you care about, that when you give to this organization, you feel like you're making a positive difference in the world, even pre-pandemic? And wouldn't it be nice just to get a call from a fundraiser and saying, how are you doing? Like, what's going on in your world right now? And let me just update you, that money that you gave, 2 months, 6 months ago, this person has been positively impacted by it right now at a time when they need it most. And I just want you to know that you're appreciated and that it is making a difference. Those are the type of connections that can work for us right now. And they can even lead into other given opportunities. So I would massively recommend you to do that. Obviously, it's going to be impossible for you to ring everybody. So this is where, that smart community fundraising relationship building tactics of segmenting and, spending most of your time on the least amount of people who are going to give you the most money later. That is a possibility. And then there are other methods, of course, that we can keep in touch with the other segments that can have that same impact without putting too much strain on your limited resources as a team, which can be, email updates, videos, social media, that kind of thing, which is something that we're going to look at in just a second as well. So when you are making telephone calls, I actually, if someone doesn't know this, I started my career in fundraising as a telephone fundraiser and then a door-to-door fundraiser, and then obviously moved into community after that. Before my fundraising life, I actually worked in a call center, so I know telephones very, very well. And you will 100% receive a suspicion when you pick up the call to pick up the phone to call a supporter. So just expect that. And again, going back to that piece of advice on control what you can, and instead of trying to change people's reactions, just expect it and be prepared to respond to that. Exactly the same here. Do your calls first thing in the morning, that whole eat the frog mentality of do the things early on that you're going to put off later. And yeah, just pick up the phone, speak to them, genuinely ask them how they're doing, and listen. Have quality conversations with people. Try not to put a target on how long you're speaking with these people or what you want to get out of it. Don't say, right, I'm going to ring 100 people and I'm going to get 10 people to give you a regular gift, because then you're going to find that actually leads the conversation. So here it's just all about connection and relationship building. Thank as much as you can, and personalize that thank you. Of course, look at the support that they've given to your organization before and match that conversation with the conversation that you're having with them. Reference the gifts that they've made in the past and the campaigns that they've given to before, and just get up and walk around, not to a point where you're doing the dishes when you're on the phone with people, because we have to be, the tips that I give you in face-to-face meetings of active listening, that still applies here. And we all struggle with it. How many people have been texting when they're meant to be on a call? How many people are texting now and they're supposed to be watching this? It's hard, isn't it, when there's just so many distractions right now, especially at home. But just really give these people your time, because really that's all that we can do at the moment, because obviously we're all focusing on surviving and thriving through on the other side. So yeah, pick up the phone, have conversations with people, and make them count, and genuinely care, which again, I think as community fundraisers, you do exceptionally well. Oh, did that go past? Okay. So virtual visits and meetings. Now, we think right now that because we're at home, meetings can't happen. But as we've seen, there's just been an influx of virtual meetings, probably too many. Do we really have to have these many meetings? It's just because it's accessible. But actually, when it comes to community fundraising, these can still be an opportunity. Those meetings that you had in your calendar with supporters that was supposed to be face-to-face over a cup of coffee, turn them into a virtual cup of coffee, because actually you'll get more out of that half an hour, 1 hour meeting with that supporter than you will sitting in a 2-hour strategy meeting with your team, where again, you're probably going to switch off. So it's actually going to be better for you in terms of spending your time effectively. It's going to be great for building that relationship up with the supporter, but also from a fundraising perspective, that's going to help you in the long term as well. Make it video if you can. If you've got dressed today, definitely get dressed if you're going to meet a supporter, because even though the whole digital eye contact thing isn't as good as it is face to face, it's still something, and it creates connection. And I think that's something that we're all hankering for right now, almost, isn't it? We want to see people, and we want to have conversations with people. We on Fundraising Everywhere, we hosted an Australian fundraising conference on Monday night. It was brutal. We were awake from like 8 o'clock at night till 11 o'clock at night till 8 o'clock in the morning. And there was a fundraiser who had actually brought her donor on to this Q&A with her, and was having a conversation with him about his giving and why he gave. And this guy was, easily in his 80s. And the relationship that they had, even virtually, just watching them have that conversation was beautiful. And it was amazing to hear from that supporter as well about his thoughts through giving at the moment. And he was saying that actually this time allows him to reflect on who he is as a person, what difference he wants to make in the world, and who he wants that to be with, and whether it was through that organization. So we can definitely do that. I think, and I wrote an article on this way back at the beginning of the lockdown, and I expected a lot more virtual networking meetings happen. I've seen quite a few in the business community, and obviously we've started seeing them now, fundraisers with each other. But I would love to see some charities hosting virtual networking events for supporters as well, and for the supporters that are already involved. So again, on Fundraising Everywhere, in a couple of weeks, we're going to be hosting a networking event for the Soldiers charity. And they've got an army guy coming in talking about resilience, and he's actually chatting to all of their corporate partners, who are then going to roll it out into their teams. And I think that's a brilliant example. It's just an hour, and actually making all of this interaction normal now is a huge opportunity for community fundraisers. Because how many of you, if you just want to put a Y in the box, or an N in the boxes in the response to this question, how many of you found that pre-pandemic you didn't have enough time as a community fundraiser to cultivate relationships because your time was too stretched? You were doing an event, you had all these supporters, you had to be somewhere. It's going to be a lot, right? And I think that as community fundraisers, if we can normalize, some Y's coming through, if we can normalize virtual connections with people now, on the other side of it, it's actually going to be a huge opportunity for us, because then when you do have a supporter that just needs a bit of a catch up, you can do that virtually because they're used to it. And, it can reduce all of that time and money spend on going out to all these meetings and doing all of these things. So it is a huge opportunity for us, and actually we need to normalize it now, because I don't think we're going to be out of the other side of this for a very long time. I think even Ireland, with their ease of restrictions, it's probably until October, until like the whole face-to-face meeting things with strangers. And as well, we've got to think about how people will feel comfortable with it. Even though we might be allowed to meet other people in October, do you think people will want to meet strangers? I think there's going to be a residual unease almost. And I think that's definitely something that we have to put ourselves in the supporters' mind of, and thinking about that. So yeah, more virtual meetings, little round tables, having conversations with your staff and telling people what they're up to, giving the opportunity for people to be part of it. It's not just a broadcast, it's asking questions, bringing them on as well. And then obviously just utilizing what we have access to already. Some tips for you for hosting these. So it's really good to have some themes and topics. It's quite hard to just tell people to come on to a networking event and there not really be any pull for it, because as we're experiencing, there's quite a lot of virtual content available at the moment. So there really has to be that draw. So for example, that army guy doing the resilience thing, making sure that the speakers both from inside your organization, so that people can actually get to know others beyond you. If you are the community fundraiser, the relationship builder, this is a great opportunity for people to meet, the CEO or some nurses or people on the front line, and they can do that from the comfort of their own home, where again they're more comfortable with this, and then we can move that normality of virtual connections into that post-pandemic world. Go to other people's networking events, see what works and see what doesn't. Start to obviously build up your connections there. And this is actually a tip that I gave to fundraisers before all of this, in a session that I run on fundraising for introverts. And host your own networking event. If you can't find one that works for you, do it yourself, because then you can control the guest list. You feel more comfortable with it. You've got a great platform there where you can actually show videos and still take people on virtual tours. The possibilities there are endless. But make sure as well, obviously, with the increase of people dropping into events, that it is protected. Put a password on your meetings and make sure that it does have a sign-up process, not only for that security protection, but also data collection as well. So even though you are hosting a public event, make sure that people have to register for it first, so that you can collect the data, because right now some of you as well might have increased spend for your digital budgets and you're starting from scratch. So obviously one of the first things that you need to do is actually build up your list. And that's a really good thing to do. And you'll see actually in the corner of this screen, there is a subscribe button, and you will leave today as well. And it'll just be asked if you want to join ours, and we can just tell you when there's more things like this going on. So yeah, think ahead. All right, social media. I've always loved social media. This life for me of being, in the house all the time isn't any different from what my life was like before. Didn't really go anywhere or do anything except, away for work. So social media for me was always a great tool as a community fundraiser, because it allowed me to build connections in the local community. It allowed me to do my research with people, but it allowed me to network again in a way that was comfortable for me. Because going back to that point, I am an introvert. I like going networking, and I'm great when I'm there, but God, I do need a push to actually get out of bed at 7 o'clock in the morning and go there. Again, another positive to this. So social media is a great tool for us now as fundraisers, because it removes that video medium. It is text. You have a wider access to people online. I'm a big fan of Twitter, so you need to start where your supporters are. I can't tell you where to go. So yeah, think about where your supporters are, what your focus is for running social media. Do you want it to push people towards your list? Do you want it for that relationship building thing? Because that can obviously help you choose your platform. And my tip with this would be that it's you as an individual. You can be. So when I worked at the British Heart Foundation, my thing was, a lot of people had like their name and heart as their surname, and they ran their social media accounts as them, but it was very much work focused. And we saw a huge positive response to that, because people knew that they were talking to another human being. So my tips for social media are to obviously share regular content about your own organization, and you can reuse content from your main account. And just tweeting as you as a human. What do you like? What are you up to? Because it's the conversations that count here. And you can't just go on and post. You have to engage in conversations. You have to respond to other people's things. And there's different tools on social media as well, like advanced search functions and lists and all these sorts of things that can actually help make your time more valuable on there. That's a whole different webinar. So if you do want any more on that, let me know, and I can run another one of these, because I'm at home, I'm not going anywhere. So I'd rather help you. And I've got like some articles and stuff that I can share if you need it quickly. Another one that you'll be familiar with, if you've been following me for a while, is my love of smartphone video. So again, started training on this a few years ago. So when I started as a community fundraiser, I was flabbergasted. I don't get to use that word a lot, so I've started using it a lot more now. So I am why people weren't using smartphone video more. You know, our phones are getting more quality capture of images. I've got like a Samsung, and the new version, you know, you can do zoom up to like 100 times or whatever. And I mean, if you're zooming that far, it means you probably shouldn't be filming that person. But the quality of these is amazing, and it's brilliant for fundraisers because, you know, we can be reactive. It's a lot more cost effective, and it's scalable. In this instance, obviously, we're at home, so we are going to be limited as to what we can share on smartphone videos. But again, thank yous, little updates. You can repurpose existing content that you have, you know, perhaps professionally made films that you've made from your events, and you can just edit that together very easily using platforms like WeVideo, and even your phones now, you know, have very simple editing tools, and just sending that to people. So if you're not comfortable with doing, you know, the face-to-face calls or the face-to-face meetings or whatever, this is a nice way that you can still keep connected with people, because again, it's that video element that's definitely what's going to shine through this year. It's going to be that face-to-face almost as we can, seeing people's faces, seeing people's reactions. So smartphone video is a nice ease into it. Again, that's a completely different webinar, and that is something that I can provide for you if you should need it. So again, just let us know. And thank you, Lorraine. One person wants a social media one, but I will make it just for you, because that's what I'm here for. So just some smartphone video tips. Perhaps the most important one: done is better than perfect. I ran some training on Tuesday night, I think it was, for an American audience, and there was a guy on there who was a professional filmmaker, and that always like stresses me out in case I say something wrong. And my pushback to him was, you know, as a supporter, if you sent them a video in portrait mode telling them how amazing they were, it was a little bit dark maybe, but they heard you say the words, you know, Sheila, you're amazing. The support that you've given to our organization is really making a difference. We think you're wonderful. Here's some other people that think so too. And you've, you know, sent some videos of other people within your staff. Sheila's not going to go that and go, oh my God, they recorded that in portrait. You know, what a noob. They're going to feel amazing. So done, you know, is 100% better than perfect at this stage. And I think we're all very understanding. And again, that's a really important point now. No one is expecting things to be tip top. They all get that we're at home, we're working with limited equipment. They've got 4-year-olds coming in midway through your session because they've grazed their elbows. You know, we get it. And the people that understand that and get that are the ones that we want to build relationships with anyway, because they're the ones that care and will be with you for the long term. Okay, so don't worry about everything being tip top just now. Just do the best you can. There are ways that you can enhance its quality if you do have access to this. So good lighting can be as easy as standing in front of a window, you know, standing outside. You don't have to have like a fancy ring light. Sound is very important. Your headphones from your smartphone mics tend to work good here. I've been using like smartphone mics and the window for years, and they've been fine. It's only just recently that I've upgraded to a Yeti mic and a ring light, just because I'm doing more of this stuff. But for now, just work with what you've got, okay? Film in landscape, which is this away. All right, because if you film in portrait mode, if they view it like on, if you send it by WhatsApp, portrait mode is fine. And things like Instagram stories, portrait is fine. So actually think about where you're going to send it to first. But with landscape, especially, you know, if you're outdoors and you want to bring people in the picture, it's something that they're going to send through on email. That's better, because otherwise you get like the black bars down the side. Think about what the video is for. How do you want them to feel? What do you want them to do? And just make sure that the content is amazing. And again, if it's you saying thank you or updating them on something, that's absolutely fine. If you've just, you know, sent them a video of a meadow and not much is happening, true story, genuinely got this from Max's teacher, and you're like, what is this? Unless, of course, you're a conservation charity, in which it makes sense. So yeah, just think about those. And again, we'll whack on another webinar for you of that topic if it would be helpful. And stewardship. So this is stuff that community fundraisers, again, do amazingly well, should be doing a lot of at the moment. Now is a crucial time. Covered it a lot already, so I won't touch on it too much. Amazing charity organization, RNLI. They feature a little bit through this webinar today, but for very good reason, because they have nailed this moment. If anyone was at I Wished I'd Thought of That a couple of weeks ago, one of the speakers actually covered this. And the first piece of communication that the RNLI issued out was a video, and I did try and find it for you, but I couldn't find it because I wasn't a supporter at the time. I am now, actually. I have given to them. I am a supporter now. And they actually made a video of one of their volunteers just saying, like, we're thinking about you. We hope you're okay. Things are really rough at the moment, but if there's anyone that knows rough, it's RNLI volunteers. You know, stay strong. We'll get through this together. It was amazing. Mandy's saying it's so good. If anyone else on the webinar today has a link to that, please just drop it in the questions box, and we'll get it sent out to you, because honestly, it was phenomenal. So well done. And if there's anyone from RNLI on here, you rock. Okay, so the new normal. Everyone's seen like the memes and stuff of, you know, we can never go back to normal because that was what the problem was before. And I genuinely believe that again is another opportunity that can come out of this. If we can retain this kindness, this understanding, this humanness on the other side of this, then at least it wouldn't have been, you know, for nothing. Everyone is going through their own grief and situations right now, and you know, my heart 100% goes out to people who've been impacted negatively by this, whether through loss of loved ones or, you know, a huge epic change in their lives. We will get through this, and on the other side things will look a little bit different. We'll probably go through this really weird period of getting things wrong on the other side of it as well, because we're not quite sure what that new normal is going to look like. But again, just with understanding, we shall get through. Thank you, David. So David's just put the link in there, so don't head off just yet. Stay with me, but do go and check that out when you get a moment, because honestly, it's fantastic. So thanks, David, for being on that. So again, just to start this particular section off with a little reminder. Now, great community fundraising happens when people do good with what they do well, and that's just a reminder for you that you are already doing brilliant things at the moment. We're not talking about you reinventing something or inventing something new. We're talking about reinventing the wheel, repurposing it and using it for this new world almost. And my belief and understanding of community fundraising over this time is going to be positively impacted by people who are doing more of this, more live streaming, more connection, more video, more engagement opportunities. That's definitely where community fundraising is going to fly right now, because what we lose from the ability to chat with each other face to face, we can replicate through these live streaming tools. So for example, you know, in this, I'm really careful to like reference your name so that you feel part of it. And that's obviously what people are going to miss right now. But obviously what we want to remember from support is that they might not want to always live stream things. They might just take part in events. So again, it's what we're trying to do with our community fundraising activity is push it out there, you know, show people how it can be used, identify and build relationships up with the people who get it and who have their own networks. They then go on and, you know, promote the activity within their own networks, and it rolls and it flies. Okay, so don't think about this next section of being like, our supports will never go for that, because all you need is just that few influences that can help you make it fly and help you move it forward, which is something that we want to think about here. Now, when starting to think about your virtual community fundraising in this new world, we've got to start with your supporters, and where are they and what do they actually want? So for example, if you have a huge Facebook following, it makes no sense then to create something that is doable on Twitter where you only have 5 followers. So perhaps thinking, right, okay, like RNLI, I'm going to show you an example from them in just a second. They have, is it like 40,000 people who like their page, and they held a couple with the crew through their Facebook Live, and their engagement rates on that were. So I'm going to show you that in just a second, okay? And what do they want? You know, from your relationships that you have with these people already, what do they like? You know, if you tried, you know, a dog walk product previously, is creating something to get them, you know, fundraising for you when they're walking the dog right now, like that kind of thinking, okay? And there's different platforms for which you can run this through. Obviously, you can live stream now through many platforms. So we're going to be looking at those platforms again in just a second. So Instagram, TikTok. I feel like I'm too old for TikTok. I don't get it. Facebook Live, and even your own website. Very easy to do. So again, one of the fundraisers, one of the events that we're running on Fundraising Everywhere, we're doing all of the live streaming for them, but we're actually attaching it to their page. So when people go on their website, it looks like it's all them. So it's very simple to do. And actually through tools like StreamYard, Caster, and lots of other ones like Restream, you can actually broadcast out to multiple sites at once. So if you wanted to test various platforms to see which one has a great reaction with, it can save you time. So you can just use a platform like that and then pew, and then see which one, that's a very technical term, isn't it? Pew, see which one works, and then that's where you cultivate and spend your time on. Thanks, Mandy. Yeah, I don't get TikTok. People look like they have fun on it, but yeah, I don't really understand, but I don't need to. Using what you already have, I've been doing a little bit of work with some charities at the moment, and it kind of flowed. We didn't actually react to the pandemic by creating one of their events virtually. It was just a case of, right, this event hasn't had any attention put on it in the real world, as it were. You know, let's just refactor that and see how we can use it in a virtual sense. And actually, it had like a really good response to it. So what collateral do you already have that you can just update and make it virtual? Again, obviously, you're limited on time and resource at the moment. So if it is like a coffee morning, if it is quizzes, or you've got galas and you have all of this collateral available at the moment and it's working for you, let's just make it virtual. But it's very important to note now that it isn't just as simple as taking a physical event and putting it online. Each one will need its own attention given to it, because as you can imagine, online is completely different, but it's not impossible. So again, that's why it's really important to start with something that you already know, because it will make you feel more empowered to make it a success. But not only that, your supporters get it, and it takes less explaining. And obviously, again, in community fundraising, that's what we want. We want people to go, oh yeah, I get that, right? Okay, I'm gonna carry it on. So for example, one of my pals, Henry Rowlands, is just launched, which is free to use by anybody. This is an open campaign. It's called Glam Up and Give. And it's the concept of, you glam up, put on your lovely clothes, take a picture, share it on social media, tag people, and then like donate £5 to a charity of your choice. And people get that because they're like, all right, okay, just need to look nice. No one gets to do that much anymore because we're indoors all the time. I'll do it. That's a very true story. I think this is the first time that I've actually gotten like properly dressed for the past week or so, just for you. So I hope you appreciate it. But again, speed is of the essence right now. As you can imagine, there's quite a lot of content that people can have access to. So if we can bring them in and do it for our organization and our cause, again, amazing. So yeah, big up to Henry, says Wayne. Okay, so I'm just going to very quickly show you this example from RNLI, just so you can see what a live stream event looks like in practice. So I'm just going to stop sharing this screen. I'm going to take you across to another one. So share audio. Okay, and I think this is really cute. I'm just going to be quiet when I show you it, and I can post the link as well, just in case you miss it and it doesn't work. Come on. All right. So my internet is hating it because I'm doing this with you already. So I will stop doing that. I'm going to post the link in the chat box and you can watch that in your own time. But basically, it's really cute because they're both obviously just people that have been pulled into doing this. And they're just having a conversation. They're literally just having a cup of tea and a conversation with people on the internet. It helps people feel connected. It helps people meet those responsible for saving the lives and the people that they're actually, giving the money to. So definitely check that out in your own time as well, because that's a brilliant example of community fundraising, because they've been like, right, my job is to connect community and cause. Here's this medium that everyone's using at the moment to help make that happen. Let's just do it. So definitely check that out from RNLI, because that's fantastic. Another example as well that I want to show you is one that was held on Fundraising Everywhere. So I'm not going to show you on the screen because obviously we've realized that doesn't work here. But there you go. So in the chat box, you will have a link to a birthday fundraising concert from a fantastic fundraiser called Rebecca Davies. And that was epic. So Rebecca helps sponsor refugee families into Canada and supports them while they get set up and comfortable in the country. So she obviously has these immense links with all of these people with wonderful stories and and backgrounds. And she actually used virtual, and she used the Fundraising Everywhere site to host her birthday party. And you can see on the screen here, these people from all around the world, like her mom, her sister, and May's mom, joining together and having a conversation. And then if you play the video on the other page again after this, you'll see we brought together 3 different musicians in different parts of the country and brought them together to play at a concert. And again, this was really quick to set up, really quick to do, because we had access to that already. You know, Rebecca knew these people, and her fundraiser doubled its target. I think she raised $3,000. We just put a donate button on the page, and when she was inviting people to her birthday party, she was letting them know, you know, you can donate to this, and that money has been distributed to those musicians who've then used it to buy music equipment for their kids to keep the music magic going. So isn't that beautiful? And yeah, through the powers of virtual. So it's not impossible. And I know that there are other charities that have an amazing success with virtual as well. So again, if you've seen any great examples, whack it in the chat box and let other people know. Terrible slide, I'm aware, because the writing is tiny. If you want this infographic, let me know. Just email me and I'll send it to you. My email is nikki@fundraisingeverywhere.com. But again, these were just some examples, some ideas of community fundraising ideas that I had when the lockdown first came into play, just to help people get started. But of course, these ideas have to be yours, has to be right for your audience, has to be something that you're familiar with and you can do already, and something that you can spin up and do easily, but most importantly, empower other people to do for you, because obviously that's what great community fundraising is, right? It's about finding those people that can do it. So just some examples, which actually have been done so much since then. So who hasn't been on a quiz, a virtual quiz in like the last 6 weeks? So please tell me how you've managed to avoid that if you haven't. Like even I've been on one. And do you know what? I wasn't too bad. I came second to last and I was by myself. So that's fantastic. Emma's given a great example of a fundraiser actually that's just been launched today by Give Penny in partnership with Cancer Research UK, which is the nation's playlist. And it's basically you donate to add a song. And isn't that wonderful? Because then you feel connected. Because when we stand outside of our doors and clap at 8 p.m. on a Thursday, which we'll be doing tonight, my little boy actually takes his little drum set into the back garden and does it. It's amazing. I'll post a video on social media later on tonight. But people want that, don't they? They want to feel part of something bigger. And yeah, and I think this is definitely the kind of energy that we need to harness right now. So do check that out, because that's fantastic. Yeah, it's a great idea of just using what we have already and turn it into great and amazing things. Some other examples, book of collections. Right at the very beginning of the lockdown, I saw an amazing fundraiser online, and I don't remember her name, so please tell me who this is. A Marie Curie community fundraiser, and she did a Facebook Live, and it was just her in a Marie Curie get-up on her phone, and she had a bucket, and she had like the donate button on there, and people gave, and she raised, it was just a little test, and she raised enough money to fund 9 hours worth of nursing care through our little Facebook Live. And I thought that was amazing. And there are other concepts of book of collections now as well, I've seen, where people just share the graphic with a link to give, and then the idea is that you share it on. But again, what I really want from your community fundraising and from you guys is more of this, more interaction, okay? Because I really think that that's where, well, it is. You've seen it. The events that are live hosted, the events that have that live interaction are the ones that are getting, you know, a lot more visibility right now, because the rest of it can obviously get lost amongst the noise. Some other examples you can read, so I won't take you through them. But, you know, like tours, meet and greets. Rob Woods released an amazing virtual booklet today, so I do recommend you go and find that from him, of how some fundraisers have been coping and utilizing new things in the current situation, and some great examples in there. But again, you know, the engagement is massive. Yesterday, British Red Cross held a live stream on TikTok and had 69,000 viewers. Imagine. And again, that's an opportunity of virtual, because you're not paying for all of these people to like come to a building, and we're saving the planet because we're not having to travel that way as well. So 69,000. And TikTok does have a giving function now as well. It's done through Twitch. So you can like link all of these together, and we're going to talk about like plugins in just a momento. So if you do host a virtual event, it's really important to tell people when it's going to be and where they need to go. So the peak time, so in Fundraising Everywhere, what we found is that actually the most people will register for your virtual event in the 48 hours beforehand. With I Wish I'd Thought of That the other week, there was 756 people there in the end, and over 500 of those people actually registered within 24 hours of the event. So if you launch a virtual event and people aren't registering straight away, don't panic, it'll be okay. And if you have limited time and resource to promote, focus on that 48 hours beforehand, because what happens is if you tell them now that something is in 2 weeks time, they'll go, oh yeah, that's great, I'll do it, and then they forget about it. Our brains are just a bit mushy right now because we have so many like subconscious things going on. So make it easy for them. A lot of you might have been on this now just because you found out about it because we sent an email out saying this starts in an hour. That's the kind of thing that's going to get you the most response and reaction. So yeah, definitely think about that 48-hour peak point. Use graphics as much as you can. Obviously, we know through social media promotion, the less words in the actual main post, the better. So make use of your graphic space. Can that even be a video, since you're going to be doing a live stream, telling people where they need to go? Can you create graphics that they can then share on so other people can get involved? Make sure the time and date is on there. I've seen lots of advertisements of virtual events where the date's on there, but you don't know what time it is. And make sure that when they're registering to come, it's just as less a process as possible. Okay, because you don't want to have them going through multiple pages to actually get there because they'll give up. And send the event to your existing supporters. So again, through some of the virtual fundraising events I've been running for national charities, the first people they've been telling about it is their volunteers and their staff, and they've actually had great engagement from those people online. So that's definitely obviously what we should be doing here as well. Some live hosting tips for you. Hopefully I've been doing it, so you can tell me off if I haven't. But when you are live hosting, obviously reference the people that are there. Otherwise it can just feel like they're being spoken to for an hour. Mention their comments, really bring them into it. There are platforms where you can actually bring people onto the live stream if that's what you wanted to do. I could bring one of you on right now. If I gave you the link to, that is possible. Facebook has brought that option back, but it is a little bit clunky. Again, like with some of the sites, it can be a bit difficult to do. So if you are going to bring people on and you're not using things like Fundraising Everywhere, prep it in advance, and then obviously you can plan it and give people what they need. You can use live content. You can use pre-recorded content. Again, if you're very time stretched, as we start to move into more normal modes of work, it might be that you've built up this great live streaming audience, but actually you're going to be really busy that week because you're then prepping something else. Just pre-record something, and you can do that instead. Community management is really important. So what I mean by that is that you have a member of staff online during the event who can monitor comments, who can respond to that. Because if you're online doing your thing, it's very distracting unless you've been doing it for a while. But you need somebody there to respond to comments, to pop things in there, to help signpost people, and it just helps your job as a live host or whoever's job it's going to be to make that more enjoyable for them. And as well, work with influencers and professionals. It might actually be a great opportunity now as well to reach out to those businesses who are having great success in this area, and ask them for advice, because we know the thing, I ask for advice, you get help. Ask for help, you get advice. And those are the type of businesses that are doing really well right now. So therefore, perhaps we could get some sort of support out of them later on. Now, fundraising platforms, Captain Tom, how amazing, over £30 million right now. So there's a session actually at the virtual conference next week on Captain Tom, and it's just given, there's 4 people from their teams like PR, tech, marketing and support who are coming on to share how they helped create this £30 million fundraiser out of this £1,000 target. So even if you just come for one session, come for that. It is free for small charities as well, and there's a discount code for everybody else at the end of this webinar. But amazing, and again, such a hopeful story. And again, I think people gave to it because they wanted to be part of something bigger. So well done, War Captain Tom. So think about what fundraising platforms people want to give through. So obviously, if you're on Facebook, you would think that Facebook fundraising is the easiest add-on, but at the moment it's a bit difficult to do because it's not actually integrated into the live stream videos. It is coming, it's being tested. By the end of this month, everyone should have that function. Right now, it's a case of creating a separate fundraiser and posting people to it. But with the test that I ran with the charity, we actually found that people gave through Just Giving. rather than the Facebook. So that's quite telling itself. So make sure actually that people have those options, again, giving you supporters that chance. Just Giving. So we love Just Giving. So thank you to Blackboard Europe for sponsoring next week's virtual event. Virgin Money, Give Penny. So we have one of the team on here already. So hi to Emma and that team. So Give Penny, well, Emma will tell you more about it actually. So Emma, if you want to pop a little bit more in the questions box about it, but basically like they plug into things like Spotify to create fundraisers, and of course Twitch, which is well known for gaming. They do with the fundraisers as well, but it's more known for gaming. But even on your own website, something as simple as adding a button that goes to a donation page, much like a lot of you did with the 2.6 challenge. And Simon saying Spotify fundraising as well, actually, which is quite a recent one. So yeah, there's all of these plugins that you can do, but if you are going to do it through your own website, whack a button on there with a nice, something engaging call to action, and what that works for your supporters. But yeah, let's get some money out of it and see what we can do. And just to mention as well on these new features that are coming out through Facebook soon. So we all knew when Zoom started to get bigger that Facebook wouldn't be far behind with their response, and they're releasing something called Rooms, which I love because it's such a blatant piece of competition, isn't it? Like Zoom and Room, but hey, they can get away with it. So Rooms is going to be a function within Facebook, which is a video chat room limited to 50 people. And it's going to be for like social use only and people who share the same interests, which I believe would include fundraisers and the charities in which they work for, because their supporters share the same interest. And it's people will be able to phone into it if they don't have great internet reception, and people can join Rooms if they don't have Facebook. And like I mentioned before, they're actually going to have like the donate button on the Facebook Live, which wasn't always there before. So yeah, definitely keep an eye out for that coming through, because again, it gives more opportunities, and we know about like TikTok's given. With fundraisers, it's really good that people have ownership of it. So I've talked before about finding those people that care and give, and empowering them to do more. And again, this is an opportunity for us, because this can be quite low cost and effective to do. Just something as simple as knocking up a graphic template on Canva that they can adapt and say, I'm doing this, or I'm doing that, or I'm amazing and I've taken part in this, and letting them have ownership of the event and be able to take it on and do with it what they want. And again, not everyone will want to live stream in your communities, and that's absolutely fine. Again, work with the ones that do, and try, instead of trying to make everyone care about it and understand it, let's focus our time on the ones that get it. But those other people might be able to do it in another fashion for you. So don't get too hung up on it right now, because it has to be right for their audience. Okay. But again, the opportunities are out there. But most importantly, just get online and be you. Like you'll see from that RNLI example that I shared with you, it's just so cute, because at the beginning, there's about 10 seconds of them going, are we online yet? Is it working? And it's just so lovely. And it's just that humanness, isn't it? It's that authenticity, being open with people and saying, this is my first time I've done it. Tell me what you want to see. Just being understanding and kind to yourself when things don't always work out the same way. And that goes for you too. So if you're on a virtual event and things get a little bit iffy, please be understanding of people, because we're all navigating this weird world right now. Everyone's internet's a bit dodgy, everyone's online, so let's all be a bit more understanding with each other. So again, reaching out to existing supporters and letting them know about it, because again, this is where the relationships count. You don't want to, if the RNLI supporters found out about that coffee in a cup the week after, they'd be like, well, why wasn't I told about it? This is something that I want to be involved in. So again, it gives you a reason to reach out to people and connect with them, and engage with people. And Mandy, I don't believe that at all. People do want to see the real you, honestly, because no one else can be you. And that's obviously what we need in the world. More conversations, so less broadcast, more chats, please. Let's find out as much as we can about supporters now, because then obviously it will help us on the other side. If you are struggling to find a fundraising idea, perhaps reach out to your supporters and ask them, what are you enjoying right now? What do you want to do? Like, give us some ideas. Again, you're asking for advice, so you're probably going to get help there. And again, just going back to my earlier point from the smartphone section of doing it is better than it being perfect. You don't have to go live like publicly where everyone will know about it. So for example, you only know about this because I mean, obviously I promoted it and I talk to people about it, but obviously you can just promote it to the places that's right for you. So you can just email it to a select few people. Facebook Live in the near future is going to have a private option where there'll only be a Facebook Live to people that have paid, which is actually a great fundraising opportunity, actually. So I should have mentioned that before. But as well on here, you know, often these events that we do are paid. So only people that would pay would get this link. Okay, so you can test it with a small audience, get more comfortable, and then roll it out and see what happens. So this is where I get my crystal ball out, like David Bowie, but without the epic pants. I guess the idea is with community fundraising, we don't know because we're not there yet. I mean, even our own government don't know what we're doing yet. We literally don't know what we're doing tomorrow or next week. And I think that's why it's so exhausting for people, because we're trying to act and survive in a world where we're trying to like reserve our energy because we don't know like what's to come. And I think we just all have to be very careful and kind with ourselves at the moment. Working on the basis that that whole large groups getting together thing, strangers being a little bit worried about meeting people face to face. I do believe on the other side of this, that isn't going to, you know, go back to normal straight away. That's going to take some time. So just plan based on that effect. That's why we've got to normalize those digital connections now, so that we can cultivate those relationships later, because I don't want community fundraisers forgotten, because actually loads of charities are seeing a massive surge in community fundraising now, because that's all people can do when they're at home and they feel a little bit helpless. Like, it's do what they can with the people that they're connected to and raise money and give money and do good. So community fundraising will still exist and it will be more important as ever, but it'll just look a little bit different. Think ahead. When we are allowed to go out a little bit more and with more people, like things like virtual remote work, walks, runs, you know, I'm straight on Hadrian's Wall as soon as I'm allowed to, and just, you know, pounding those hills, because everyone's been so desperate, haven't they? Like recently to live in the countryside. I don't think we've ever felt it more than what we do now. So just think about that. Larger events, maybe, you know, planning those for later in 2021. I know a lot of people who postponed their events to September, October this year. I'd be looking at that. I genuinely can't see. I'm not a scientist, and I'm not involved in plans and whatever, but I would say to have a look at that. Make a couple of plans. Actually, definitely make a couple of plans on whether it will or won't happen, because then at least you're prepared. Because that's definitely the things that are going to get us through now, is planning for those different eventualities. Individual challenges will still be a thing. You know, people want to like channel their resilience and channel that energy. So make sure, of course, that you factor that into your planning. And again, you know, I've mentioned it already, but I do think it'll be less face-to-face like this. Sorry, not face-to-face, like face-to-face as it was, and it'll be more face-to-face like this. So I hope that has been helpful. This was a warm-up, of course, for the Fundraising Everywhere conference next week. I'm going to stick around for questions. If anyone has them, just start typing them in the chat box now, and, you know, I'm happy to answer them. If anyone as well wants to come on the live stream now and maybe share an example from their organization and a virtual event that they've done, and you're dressed, please let me know, and I'll send you the link so you can come on and chat with me. I'd absolutely love that, because I'm by myself. My contact details are there, so let me know if you want that session on smartphone. Let me know if you want that session on social media. I'm happy to knock that up for you. And if you want to come to the festival next week, honestly, it's amazing. We've got 5 afternoons of content that's looking at not only what can help you get through the COVID-19 pandemic, but on the other side. So we're not, you know, it's not sessions on pandemic. It's like, you know, things like we've got sessions on ableism and fundraising. What do you do with your events that have been cancelled? You know, what do you do next? It's exactly what I've just spoken about with you just now. We've got events on if you've got digital spend, where is the first place that you spend it? So all of that is there, and like I say, it's free for small charities, and there's a discount code there for everybody else if you use that, and it's fundraisingeverywhere.com/festival 2020, and I'm sure Simon will whack that in the chat box as well. So if you have any questions, like I say, I'm more than happy to answer them now. But other than that, you know, just thank you for joining us today. You've got this. Community fundraisers are amazing. You have this brilliant energy, this skill. You know, you're absolutely brilliant, and you will be crucial to the success of your charity organization. It's just about thinking differently. That's going to be the key here, okay? And even though community fundraising isn't doable in its old form, and that's probably where a lot of the decisions have been made for, you know, maybe stopping that activity, and just being bold and saying, this is how I can make it work. Here's this random Geordie woman on a webinar that's told me it can work, and here's some ideas. And if you need backup on that, obviously there's plenty of it happening online at the moment. So thank you so much for your lovely comments as well, and thank you to those of you who were checking up on Max. He's all right now. He's okay. Broke my little heart. And thank you so much. And hopefully we can see you online. So next week it's the same format. You know, me and Simon will be online hosting throughout and can chat with you. And again, you can come online for that as well if you want to. But otherwise, you know, there's just some amazing sessions on there from some amazing people. So sign up to, I don't know what corner it's on. Sign up to the mailing list, and we'll just keep you updated when stuff like this happens. But good luck, stay strong, and just be kind to yourself and take a step back and have a cup of tea now and again. Look at the bigger picture of all the things that you're doing amazing at, and celebrate your successes along the way. And thank you so much. Simon, are you jumping on? Are you saying anything? Oh, he's not there. He's not there anymore. He's gone. He's gone. Thank you so much. We'll see you next week. Take care, look after each other, and be a nice human.
It's a great service, and the people that support it are absolutely amazing. But the top of my list will always be Liam, and it will always be sharing Liam, and it will always be creating memories with Liam. And that's one thing that my community fundraising never forgot. She always understood that there was that extra emotional impact because of what I was fundraising for and because of who I was. But she always understood my why. She always understood why I was doing something.
What I wish I'd known when I first started fundraising.
What I wish I'd known.
Something that we wish we knew when we first started out.
What we wish we'd known.
One thing I wished I'd learned when I raised my first dollar for nature in 1969.
Something I wish I had discovered much earlier in my career.
What I wish that I'd known when I first started my fundraising career.
And I'm going to bend the rules a little bit around that.
And mine's this.